So, Goblin Slayer episode 1 through 2. So this will be kind of my review for the first two episodes. There has been a lot of controversy around these first two episodes, mostly through because I don't think people are used to the violent and sexual content which it contains. Which I was also surprised when I watched the first episode was how much was actually in it for a TV anime, because usually this type of thing I'm used to is say like OVA, Helsing, or like movie quality type of, and I don't know what time this airs in Japan, but I have to assume it's later at night just for the content that is within it. But most of the controversy has been people online, I guess just saying that it was too much, or well, the main reason I think of the controversy is Crunchyroll. When the first episode came out on Crunchyroll, it was rated TV PG, which if you've seen the first episode, you know it is not TV PG, it is TVMA. Just with everything that's in it, I think it should be TVMA. And Crunchyroll, I think, did do the right move after everyone, because everyone on the internet exploded. After all of that went down, they added a content warning at the beginning of each episode now, and I think they changed the rating. So I can kind of understand both sides, because there's kind of two sides to the argument. One side is everyone saying, oh, it was too much, all that, and I wasn't expecting it to have as much as it did, and that I can understand. And the other side is just belittling the other side and saying, like, oh, how could you believe that is so terrible, go read Berserk or whatever. And yeah, I've read Berserk, and I can tell you it can even mess up adult men who aren't ready for the content that was in Berserk. But that's not a fair argument, because it's a different series, and you have to judge each series for its own merit. And so I understand both sides of the argument. One side saying this is not really that bad, and the other side, who is not used to this type of thing, saying like, oh, it's pretty bad. But like I said, I understand both sides, and I think Crunchyroll was slightly at fault, but I think they did damage control well enough to, say, fix that, put a content warning at the beginning of the episode. I think they did a good job there. But another part of people complaining is they're saying, like, you know, the whole Goblin rape thing, is they were saying that was to pander to people that say, like, are a fetish, basically, which I don't think that's true. If you watch it, it's supposed to show how dark this world is, and these adventurers who are not ready to go in and face these goblins and just thought, oh, I've chased away a goblin before in my town, they're super easy to kill. I think it was just showing that if you're not prepared, that's what's going to happen. And that was to set up the whole Goblin Slayer entrance coming in and showing he's done this for so long, he knows what he's doing. But if I had to compare of what they've changed, I don't think they've changed too much. Adaptation-wise, they've done pretty good, because I've read the light novel and the manga. The only thing I think they've kind of cut out was each of the characters kind of had a bigger backstory, or like, because it was like the martial arts girl and the sword dude, they talked more about how they'd grown up, whatever, and then the witch, how she'd trained so hard to get to this point. So there was a little bit more backstory with each of the characters in the light novel, at least, that I remember. So it was just tiny little stuff that cut out, because I think it kind of helped the impact more of all of them just getting brutally murdered, is if you knew more about them, and when you start reading it, or in this case start watching it, you're like, oh, these are the main characters, normal, this is how it starts out, and then everybody completely just gets obliterated, which I think was supposed to be for the shock factor, which it worked because the entire internet was in an uproar. But some of the other things I didn't think were so good was the CGI. The CGI was, it's not terrible. I can understand why they had to do it, because they can't have excellent animation in all of it. And the only CGI they use is for the goblins and for Goblin Slayer that I noticed. The goblins were not a big deal, because, you know, they don't look normal. They're not human, so you don't notice the CGI as much. But with Goblin Slayer, it was pretty evident of his armor being CGI in several different scenes where he's just walking, and none of the other characters are CG, just him. And Berserk 2016, it's not nearly as bad as Berserk 2016, but it kind of had the same problem of it would have like some good animation and then switch it over to completely CGI, and it's too jarring. Or they would have one CGI character or one good animated character in a whole CGI scene, and they completely stick out. It completely takes you out of the whole in the moment of you're used to everything being 2D or 3D, so when you mix them and not very well, then just sticks out like a sore thumb and does not look good at all. The other thing is opening, pretty good. It was okay. Like, the opening was okay. But the ending, to be honest, I think it's one of the worst endings I've seen in quite a while. It was the most generic, just bad ending. The song was okay. I'm not talking about the song. I'm just talking about visuals. It was literally just Goblin Slayer in CGI armor walking and then running, and a super dramatic anime running into the distance, and then there was like 3 different lighting effects. It was like red, yellow, and blue or something, and that was like it. It's one of the worst endings I've seen in quite a long time. So opening, good animation, all that. Ending is one of the worst endings that I've seen, because I usually, endings are like okay, they're skippable, but this ending was like one of the worst I've seen in quite a while. Just, it looked like the most lazy. Like 5 minutes before they aired the episode, they're like, oh wait, we don't have an ending. Quickly, just throw together some CGI scenes of him running, epic anime style, and that's about all they did. Opening, I think they spent a lot more time on. But with the second episode, there wasn't nearly as much to talk about, because the first episode was, everyone was shocked and surprised about how they did things. The second episode is like, this is the new pace they're going with, slowly introducing characters like Cowgirl. And this one, I will concede with people, this is more of what people were talking about, of like basically fan service or pandering to male audiences. Cowgirl is basically childhood friend. She literally sleeps naked, so she's pandering to the male audience. But second episode, it was just normal, so I think this is how it's going to be from now on. So I think how the internet was exploding is going to calm down, and so the people that want to stick with the series are going to stick with it, and treat it like normal. The first episode, I think, was just one of those episodes that come every once in a while and everyone on the internet's talking about it, and then in 3 weeks no one's going to talk about it ever again. So from now on, I think it'll be fairly normal, and they seem to be adapting the light novel pretty well, besides cutting out small little things here and there, which they usually do in just about all anime. So overall, I gave it, at least the first 2 episodes, like 8 out of 10, because I love Goblin Slayer light novel and manga. Manga's really good. Just like I said, some of the stuff they had cut out, tiny little things here and there. So if they keep it up, good, it'll be a good anime adaptation. But basically the story is everyone needs to calm down on the internet and stop jumping on the bandwagon of hating it or loving it for the wrong reasons. Just watch it for how it is, and if you can't handle it, don't watch it, and if other people can't handle it, don't make fun of them. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Goblin Slayer.